And thanks for your time. This afternoon, judicial independence is dominating the agenda. The Ghanaian lawyers and members of the judiciary converge for the 2023 Bar Conference in Cape Coast. President Akufo-Addo is making that argument that it will be irresponsible and dangerous for former President John Dramani Mahama to claim that he has tilted the composition of the courts by appointing more than 80 NPP-aligned judges. The Chief Justice also followed through, insisting that the judiciary remains an independent arm of the state. However, the Ghana Bar Association is equally worried that partisanship is beginning to eat deep into the fabrics of the legal profession. There's a need for us to get you the very latest of all that's happened today and what the position of the Ghana Bar Association is with respect to the conference which transpired earlier today. First, though, let's listen to President Akufo-Addo make his speech earlier today.
Appointments to the lower courts, the High Court, and the Court of Appeal are done by the President exclusively on the advice of the Judicial Council. In the case of appointments to the Supreme Court, because of its unique position in our judicial structure, there are the additional requirements of the consultation of the Council of State and the approval of Parliament. In the overwhelming number of cases of justices designate to the Supreme Court, that approval has been given on a bipartisan basis. You can count on the fingers of a hand the number of justices designate whose approval met less than unanimous consent. I've gone into this matter in some detail because of a new concept that has been recently introduced into our public discourse by no less a public figure than the fourth president of the Fourth Republic, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, who has told the world that I have packed the courts with so-called NPP judges, and that one of the key purposes of a putative NDC victory in 2024 will be to enable him balance the courts with so-called NDC judges. Not only are these concepts of, quote, NPP and, quote, NDC judges new in our public discourse, they are also extremely dangerous and represent the most brazen attack on the independence of the judiciary by an allegedly responsible politician of the Fourth Republic. They provide another reason, if more were needed, why right-thinking citizens should ensure the defeat in 2024 of the man whom the first special prosecutor identified as government official number one in the still unresolved airport Airbus bribery scandal.
Well, let's now bring in the PRO for the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kuja, who's joining us via Zoom now. Thank you, sir, for your time. Of course, this is just the start of a number of conversations that will be ongoing as part of the 2023 Ghana Bar Conference. But let's start off with the concerns that you have as a bar as well. It's not just the president who's concerned about how partisanship is creeping into the judiciary. You are equally concerned that this is also eating deep into the profession, the legal profession itself. What trends and form is this taking, and why is the Ghana Bar Association concerned about this?
Pleasure, thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. We are concerned because, certain things may be said by lay people, but as lawyers, once we are present, we ought to not let that happen. We all belong to the Ghana Bar Association, but a group of lawyers can decide to form other associations within the Bar Association. That is their right. But our concern is that if they are addressed at such gatherings, and they should be able to point out certain things that are not said right.
And you feel that this is just coming from a particular group of individuals, or this is much more than just one group?
I think so far the trend we've seen is to have, I think last year it happened at the same gathering of some lawyers who identify themselves with the NDC. And this year too, it has happened.
So let's get to it then. If you of course argue that this is much more about questioning the integrity or the sanctity of the profession which you belong to, which is law. How does these groups, the emergence of the group, affect the professionalism, which is much more an independent matter or left to the individual who would then be practicing? How do you respond to that?
Well, I think it's not good for us. It doesn't augur well for us because there are young lawyers passing out every year who join our association, and if such examples should continue, we cannot build a good association and for that matter a good nation. I say this because, as I said, our ethics even enjoin us not to do things to denigrate more or less the practice of law. So ever where we practice our trade, the judiciary is brought on in a certain light, and there are lawyers there. My respectful view is that those lawyers should be able to draw the lay people's attention to that, because so far these things are not being said by any lawyer, but rather people of high stature, but who are laymen as far as the law is concerned, or the legal profession is concerned.
And we know that as an association, you're equally concerned about some matters, not just related to only your body, but also out of the association. So let's quickly get back to the address that your president delivered. What are the key demands you're making as part of this year's Bar Conference?
Well, he's spoken extensively about corruption and galamsey as well. Corruption, unfortunately, the president wasn't there to listen to this. He had left, but I believe his lieutenants were there, so they had listened. President gave an account of what he's done so far as a president in the fight of corruption. And the bar's position is that, yes, he may have done a lot, but we think that a lot more ought to have been done, or is ahead of us to do. So he should just raise up and do that. And then about galamsey, of course, it's not only about destruction of the environment. It affects our economy. It brings about diseases and all that. So our president, the bar touched on that through the bar president too. And then President Akufo-Addo also said, even though he said President Mahama didn't do well and all that, I admit, fine, that was all. But the only aspect I have a little concern about is going ahead to urge people to more or less vote against him on that. I don't think that it was proper for him to use the platform for that, because condemning what President Mahama said, many more people have already done it. The Ghana Bar Association too has done it. But to go ahead to say that because of what he said, people should more or less vote against him, I think that to me amounted to doing some political campaign on our platform, which to me is not acceptable.
So you're taking issues with that, and that will follow through with a statement to clarify matters?
No, I think that once I'm granting this interview to you, this should suffice, because it's the same medium that we use to propagate our statement. And I'm sure a lot of media houses were there. So to reiterate, I am saying that, yes, President Akufo-Addo has spoken about the statement made by President Mahama on the alleged appointment of NPP people onto the bench by him. But I don't think that it was proper for him also to use the Bar Conference during his address to say that because of what President Mahama has said, he was urging well-meaning citizens to vote against him more or less, because I don't think that our platform should have been used for that.
And it's part of the criticisms that you constantly face. I recall having a conversation with you where, of course, the Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC was also joining that conversation. The part of the claims was that the Ghana Bar Association appears to be leaning much more to the governing side, a reason for which you're accused of siding with the government on national issues. Don't you feel that this could also go a long way to taint your image as an association?
Well, I think there was a break along the line, but what I heard, I'll respond to it. Let me say that it would be totally unfair to say that we have constantly offered the sitting president, President Akufo-Addo, to speak against the other side of the political divide on our platform. That is unfair because, first and foremost, we don't prepare his speeches. We are not his speech writers. And I'm yet to know of a protocol where you have invited somebody to come and address you, then you elect or you seek to vet whatever the person is coming to speak about. No, we don't do that. I don't think that is proper. That is why I have taken the opportunity to say that, yes, he came today. He condemned what President Mahama said about the appointment to the bench, as we also did. But he went ahead to urge well-meaning citizens to vote against his party or him come 2024, and that we condemn. And so it is never, yes. And we can invite any person who is sitting as president to come and invite us. As just that President Akufo-Addo has a unique relationship with us. This is the man when he was in opposition was always with us. Why then has he become a president and we should cut him off? And anytime we invite him, he comes. If he says he won't come, fine. Today, for instance, he was billed for another assignment, but he managed to come around before going. So we don't have any exceptional treatment for anybody when it comes to our conferences.
Did you extend a special invitation to former President John Dramani Mahama, knowing that, of course, the Chief Justice was going to be present, and that could have provided, a very fair platform for, if not open, it could be backroom, engagements to clear the concerns the former president has? Was that done?
That wasn't done because we had already spoken about the matter. His spokespeople came to defend it. So what then would be there to ask for us to discuss? Because they justified it. If you remember, I think you were the host of Top Story the day I granted an interview together with Mr. Akufo-Addo. And Akufo-Addo was of the view that Mr. Mahama had said it, we either leave it or take it. With such a posture, what is there to discuss?
I see. Well, that's an interesting point there. But okay, moving forward, corruption has also come up. Your leader speaking about, corruption and how that's affecting national development. The president says he's taking the boldest decision when it comes to the subject matter of corruption since independence. Are you buying that as the Ghana Bar Association?
Well, I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but there's nothing wrong with taking steps. So steps you can take, but as to whether you've achieved results is another matter, because what I know is that nobody measures efforts, it's results that we measure. So what the Ghana Bar Association is saying that the president may have taken steps by referring his appointees against whom various allegations had been made to the requisite or the administrative bodies and institutions that had to investigate them, and they investigated and no wrongdoings and found against them. But has that solved the problem? To me, no. But I must also say that the president has gone ahead to make a recommendation for reforms as far as the laws on corruption and bribery are concerned. If you remember, I haven't granted an interview and I said the only way to me that we should get to the bottom of fighting corruption is to look at our laws. Why do we have a law that says that the giver and the taker are equally guilty? To my mind, the guilt should be limited to the taker so that the taker may not even know that he's been set up by an opponent. Then we can make some headway. But if it remains the way it is, I don't think that we'll get anywhere.
And as it stands now, you're not impressed with the fight so far?
As far as his conduct, as procedurally, he has satisfied all the requirements, because as a president, if allegations are made against your appointees, you have no business dealing with them. Yours is to refer them to the relevant bodies. So if they are not found culpable by the relevant bodies, I don't see why anybody should blame him. If he refuses to refer them to the relevant bodies for investigation or the necessary things to be done, dealings to be done on them, that's when we can say he's shielding them. Unless we are saying that he has some dealings with those institutions, which I don't think is fair. Nobody should go that way.
Okay, Sylvia, after the conference this week, what will be that charge for your members to keep as members of the Ghana Bar Association?
Well, they should always remember that we are one fraternity. Nobody should break us up. The lay people, the politicians should not divide us. They should know that they have every right to practice politics. The first and foremost, as my president said today, their fidelity should be first to the law, because they may even have become politicians just because they are lawyers.
I see. And I'm sure that we'll reconnect in the coming days. Grateful for speaking to Xavier Kujie, is the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association.